I'm just terrified. Terrified. I'll be one of you guys out there every day.
Yeah, right. No,
I know. I have friends that go out every day. You're one of them. But I know other guys.
I do too.
Every time they get a chance.
The guys I play with go every day.
Yeah, if you can pull it off, it's like a gentleman's leisure way of life.
Yeah, it's always back when I was a club comic. That's how I killed the day. I started playing when I was like 13. And so I would just go to a golf course and, schmooze out a deal where I could play golf there every day. And you ain't jack shit to do during the day in clubs for 15 years.
Right.
I'm doing 48 weeks.
Right.
And making $500 a week or whatever it was when I started. And, it was a middle act out there. You had to work them all, because you needed the $500 real bad.
Yeah. Do you ever look back on those days with like, do you reminisce?
You know what? It's a good thing for me that this was the path of least resistance, right? Because if it wasn't for stand-up, I'd be a regional marijuana distributor in the state of Texas in an industry that has some questions coming up. So, I did it because I loved it. But it was also fun, and it was easy for me. I didn't mind the travel because I liked drinking free in bars and practicing this art form but I never ever thought it would go where it went. If people ask me, how do I do that? I'm like, I don't know how I did it. And I was right there when it happened. I have no idea. I barely remember it.
Didn't you live in Mexico for a little bit?
Mm-hmm. In fact, there's a really, really, really good PGA player from the same town I lived in that played golf every day where I played golf. I didn't know him. He was young. He would have been let's figure it out. He would have been. He's like 21 or 2 now, and he was in the heat for this tournament. His name was Abraham Answer is his name, and born in Reynosa, Mexico. Well, he's actually born across the border because there's no wall, right? They can just come over there and have a baby. So but his parents must have been fairly well off for that part of the world, to do that, but. He's great, and I dig it because I see where he came from exactly.
Mm-hmm.
It's where my son made a hole-in-one when he was 8 years old. Was on the Campestre golf course in Reynosa, Mexico.
How many holes in one does a guy get in his career?
I've had one. My son's had one. Like the big guys, maybe 16, 17, 18.
In a whole life.
In a whole lifetime.
There's no equivalent in other sports.
Yeah,
a hole in one. There's no equivalent in any other game.
Right. There was a double eagle.
What's that mean?
That's where you make a 2 on a par 5. So that means you sunk a hole from 262 yards out. You made it on the second shot.
Oh, wow.
That's very rare. Oh. Very rare. But
so a double eagle slightly less rare than a hole in one.
Way less rare. Because that par 3 could be as much as 125 yards, and then most of them aren't made on the longer 185, but you're not, the guys like me aren't hitting the par 3s from 235.
Yeah, if you think about it, I guess there's nothing like that in any other game or sport. Hole in one, where it just works out perfect.
Maybe a walk-off grand slam or.
Yeah, maybe. Those happen way more often, though.
Yeah, way more. Well, yeah, way more often than a hole-in-one. For how many people try
crazy.
It every, you don't get many chances at that Grand Slam. But
the other thing is,
for how many
someone
people
has
tried, how many they make.
Pitch at you. You're definitely going to hit the ball. It's right there. Like that golf ball is just right there. I mean, you might not have a good lay, but you're definitely going to hit it. Am I saying all the right shit?
Yeah. Well, if you hit a foul ball, you got to play it.
That's true.
You got to go find it. And
it seems like the odds of you getting a hole in one must be off the charts. It must be like 1,000 to 1 or 100,000 to 1 or something crazy like that.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, most people maybe never.
Yeah. What do you think the numbers would be? What are the odds?
Oh fuck, Joe.
A hole in one.
I didn't graduate from high school. Let's throw the math to those carb guys. And, those science dudes.
They were killing me.
But my
what do you guess?
son made one the 11th day he ever played golf.
Wow.
In front of me and his coach and his best friend.
That's incredible.
And it was a 95-yard par 3 from the regular women's tees with a U.S. Kids Club driver that I still have.
Wow.
And it just straight at the hole. He had a great golf swing. The kids, if you treat them, his golf coach was good, even though they spoke a different language. They understood golf and how to teach him that swing, and so he was good at it. And he doesn't really play much anymore. It's not his thing, but it landed 10 yards in front of the pin, bounced twice, rolled right in the middle of the cup. And at this point, I'd been playing golf for 30 years, and I'd never done it.
Wow.
And so it was a big deal. And he got his name in a couple of newspapers, and they mentioned him on the Golf Channel. He was the youngest kid that had made a hole-in-one that year that was registered. And then, like 2 weeks later, a 6-year-old did it. And my son was like, they took all the joy out of it for him.
Yeah.
That was one kid. He was lucky. He hit it. His went on off a mailbox. Yours went on off a perfect golf shot.
Golf shot, it's a hard thing to learn, right? That swing.
Yeah, it is a really difficult thing to do, and it's a thing that you learn how to aim. It's like a bow and arrow, even though that's a little easier to teach somebody how to do, but to do it exceptionally well, it's not easy to do. And or a slingshot, how to get the power at the right spot, or even fly casting. It's not power everywhere. It's power in the right spot that
whip,
does it. And
whip of the wrist.
Yeah, and so it's hard to do, but it's fun to do once you learn how to hit a good solid golf shot, and the ball comes off the way it's supposed to. It's bliss. I'll tell you something. Here's a story about golf. My best friend who passed away died of brain cancer. So they had done a surgery on him that had just down scars down his neck, down his back, where they were trying to they were shooting it. He was already, he should have had a death sentence. We just weren't saying it out loud. And we were at my place in Montecito, and we had thrown everything at this cancer but the kitchen sink, and we were looking for the fucking sink, And Steve goes, "Let's go to the golf course, man." He goes, "I'll help you read some putts." He was always good at reading putts. We'd been playing golf since we were little kids. We'd known each other since we were 6. And so when I got my clubs out, his clubs were in there too. So he reaches into his pill bag and takes another pill, pain pill, and said, "I'll throw mine on there. I might take a swing." So, and he did off the first tee box, and it hurt, and it wasn't very good. And he just winced, but every once in a while he'd put a ball down and he'd hit it. And when we get to the 17th hole, it's par 3, 167 yards. It was a long hole, and he hits his drive with his driver, and it fades off a little bit to the right, but he caught it. And so it was up kind of up by the green, but the pin was kind of on the other side. And I was like, great, and so he hits a chip shot, which is easier to do, and he's always really been good at that. And he hits it to about 7 feet. And I'm like, oh my God, he's got a 7-foot putt for a par, and he makes it. And this dying man gets the biggest grin I've ever seen in my life. And it was crooked because his muscles had been cut, but it just brought him pure fucking joy.
Wow.
And then I got to see the last par he ever made. So, and I got to witness that, joy. So that's pretty cool.
That's awesome.
That's pretty cool. That's golf, It, if it means that much to you, it can make you feel better if you do it right one time.
I get it. I think it's like in any difficult game like that. I guess it'd be like that with a lot of games, but there's something about golf too that it's very physical, and you're doing it outside. It's one of the only things you have to do outside, other than, I guess you could do tennis inside, like, really.
Right.
But golf is a fucking giant-ass course. You're going to be walking. You got to go outside.